It says you're live.
Oh, okay. And honestly, I'm just gonna, I mean, this out there, but um, I can't see any of the questions. So if you want to look at something and I can look at something, um, I'm gonna be on YouTube. No, I'm gonna do Facebook.
I am pulling it up on YouTube.
Okay, it has it. It does have it, but it doesn't have the questions. Okay, good. I have it up. You on YouTube, I'm on Facebook. So I want to get started with this Library of Life. We won't really get into the topic of buying a house for Habitat for Humanity edition until I give this little background and give people enough time to get on. So if they do have questions, they'll have time. I don't want to start too early. It's not even 5 yet. But of course, I'm Sierra Ward from C Notes and Caring Conversation Center, and I'm starting this Library of Life live series, giving people, I'll say, the resources on life, things that I know can help people not only be better physically, but mentally and spiritually, because it's all tied to one. And I was noticing in my therapy sessions that a lot of people just honestly lack the resources. And throughout my experience in this life, I've literally done so much. I've done credit repair. I've helped people to get started with their businesses. I've helped people buy houses through different avenues. Um, I've literally done a lot, and a lot of people come to me for different resources and things like that. And I thought, okay, let me just put this together, and I have people who will be joining me, who will be willing to help you, and they have their own things going on that relates to this. So you can always have a resource, but we will also be providing resources in the comments. And if you register, we will also send you those resources as well. So if you didn't register, make sure you get registered through Eventbrite. So if we have any additional information, you will have it via email. But yeah, do you want to get started with your introduction, or would you like to wait and give people more time to get in?
It's up to you. I mean, it's saved, so they'll be able to come back to it.
Yeah,
And
thank you for it. Yep.
um, how much do you want me to share with
As
my
much as
introduction?
you want to. So I'll introduce Passion. Passion, she's one of my pre-licensed professional with my private practice care and conversation center. Amazing therapist. So if you are looking and we're licensed everywhere, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Iowa,
Mhm.
North Carolina, Minnesota coming soon, Virginia. So if you really need a therapist as well, Caring Conversations, our website is caringcc.com. We have a number of therapists who can help you on your journey, but Passion is here to talk about her journey through Habitat for Humanity and also the things that you're doing and how you can help in any way. So you can say what you want to say.
Okay, so as Miss Sierra said, I work with Caring Conversations. I have been there for almost a year as a therapist. And as she stated already, we are accepting new clients. So feel free to go access that website and reach out if you need that help. A part of me is I'm a mom of two kids. I'm also a student at Capella University, and then I am also a partner family at Habitat of Humanity. So basically, what that means is Habitat partnered with me to help me build my first home at an affordable rate. It was a process, though. It wasn't just like fill out the application and here's your house. So we had to first go to a webinar, and in that webinar, it explained like the process, income guidelines, and then their expectations of you as a partner family. After you attend that webinar, then you can go and pick up a healthy application. It is a very drawn out application. It looks at your financials extensively, even like your bank statements. They want like 6 months back. If you're in school, they want your student loans. You have to show that your loans are in deferment. If you know you're an active student, or if you just graduated, it needs to show that you're in the deferment status, because they compare your income to debt ratio to determine if you qualify for the program. After you get past the application phase, they then have to come out and look at your place of residency. So they look at everything from what's good about your home to what's bad about your home. They're basically assessing your need for the program. After they do that, they do an interview with you. Why do you want to be a part of Habitat of Humanity? For me, it was my second time applying, and it's about leaving generational wealth for my kids. So if I buy a house now, their children, once they get older and I'm no longer on this earth, they have this house. What they decide to do with it is up to them. But I didn't want them to feel like, I didn't leave them with anything. They'll have this house, it'll be paid off. The only thing they would have to worry about is property taxes.
Mm.
Um, and it's affordable. Mortgage can be as low as $500. It is super affordable, and it's like when you're looking into the first time home buyer programs, they have so many stipulations. Like you need to have this credit score, this much income. Well, with Habitat, they look at your credit score, but it's not a determining factor. So if you have a low credit score, it shouldn't deter you from the program.
Mhm.
um, they have banks that they partner with to help you get a home loan. Um, so yeah. Uh, what else can I tell you guys about Habitat? Oh, the volunteer hours. So for every adult that is going to be in the household, and the adult is anybody 18 or over, they have to get 250 sweat equity hours. So sweat equity hours is just volunteering at Habitat. You could do things like help someone else build their house. You can work in the restore. And the restore is amazing. And it's basically like they get donations from within the community where they repurpose them. So let's say you need cabinets for your house, but you can't afford to go out to buy brand new cabinets. They have them, and sometimes they are brand new or they can be gently used, but they resell this stuff at an affordable rate, like furniture. They even have bicycles, especially in the summertime. They get so many. You volunteer there, you have to get a minimum of like 6 volunteer hours a month. So every adult in your household has to get those volunteer hours. And then if you're like myself, a parent, you get volunteer hours for someone babysitting your kids. And then your kids that are in K through 12, if they get A's and B's on their report cards, you get hours for that too. So they make it easy for parents to get these hours. Once they actually start building your house, you have to go and volunteer at your house every Saturday. Now, if you have a full time job or even a part time job where you're working on the weekends, you just let them know, like, hey, this is my work schedule. And then they work around it so that you're able to get out and actually volunteer to build your house. And the purpose behind that is so, like, if you have to do like small home repairs, you're able to do this stuff yourself to save money from calling someone else out to do it.
Mhm.
um so far I have learned how to stock shelves, and it's crazy because I used to work at Kmart, but I never had to actually stock shelves. But I've learned like the different electrical parts when you're needing to put on light fixtures. I've learned like plumbing parts, different things about caulking, because sometimes people come in the store and they're just like, oh, I need this for this, and they're telling you about their whole project. um, and I've already picked my lot. I've only been in the Habitat program for June, will make a year. So the June that just passed, it was a year. I picked my lot in May. Everybody kept asking me, like, how did you decide? Because they give you like this long list of property lots that they have, and you go out with your mentor. Yes, you get a mentor in the program, and they have all this experience. And you go out with your mentor and you look at all of these property lots, and they're in different neighborhoods. And of course, it's neighborhoods that they are trying to bring back to life. So you go out, you look, and then you decide what you want. Like, which one do you want to decide on? You get to skip one time. So that one time skip isn't just like, oh, they showed you this property lot, you skip. No, they give you this long list, and then you can skip that list. But then the next time it comes to you, you have to pick from the list that they have. And so I went out and like all my friends were laughing at me because I was like really bonding with the land. Like I took my shoes off, I stood in the
Yeah.
grass, and I was like, okay, I just want something to speak to me. And so I was like, I'm not really feeling this one. And so we went to another one. And when we went to that one, it was the numerical address was the same as my grandparents' home. And so
Um,
I like immediately felt warm in my heart. And then I was like, but I don't know, we were between like a church and another home. So I was like, oh, I got little kids and I want them to be as free as possible.
mhm.
And so I was like, can I get back to you? How long, I haven't to make this decision. And so they were like, we'll give you a week, think about it, and then connect back with us. And so I went to sleep that night. And in my dream, somebody said, oh, what's your address? And I recited this address. And so I woke up and wrote the address down. And then I went back to that list and I was like, that's it. That's my home. That's my home. And so I reached out to them and I told them, but you do like there's a slow and steady process. So you have to get 75 hours before you get to pick a property lot. And then you need 150 hours before they start to actually build on your house. And then in order for you to move in, you need that final 200, like cumulative 200 hours. And they start building on your house. They give you an allowance for things like light fixtures, cabinets. Of course, you can stay within that amount that they give you, or you can go over. And then if you go over, anything you go over will be included in like your down payment for your house.
Mhm. I wanted to go back a little bit, and then as people join, we can talk more about it because I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning a lot about the program. I know a lot about different, like I know a lot about NACA. I know the traditional way or conventional way of buying a house
Mm-hmm.
with FHA, and just the different loans and all the first time home buyers grants, things like that, but never Habitat for Humanity. I've heard about the program. I know you get to
Mm-hmm.
build your house and things like that, but never knowing as much as you just told me. But I think I want to go back and just start from the beginning with first, before we even decide Habitat for Humanity is right for me. When you're thinking about buying a house, even if you're not thinking about buying a house, I think
Mm-hmm.
you should look into, even if you about to go, your lease is coming up. A lot of people think you got to have this big down payment.
Mm-hmm.
And most people I've helped buy a house, they didn't even have to pay $7,000 up front. And that's no
Mm-hmm.
program. That's just FHA. You don't need a big deposit down. You don't need a high credit score. You
Mm-hmm.
have bad credit. A lot of these places and programs want to know that you can afford to pay
Yeah.
whatever the down, whatever the monthly cost is going to be. So if you're already paying rent, that's the indicator right there that you can afford to pay
Mm-hmm.
a mortgage. So I think Habitat for Humanity, as you mentioned in the beginning, I feel like it's for people who really are just, they're ready to get in a house and they
Mm-hmm.
may not have any other option. And this is basically a last resort before, instead of putting yourself through another lease, another, rent from somebody else, you can go this route. If you
Yeah.
get into the other programs, and if you really dedicate it, you can get into it. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know if I want to start asking those questions yet, because we both already looked. And when you go on Habitat for Humanity, like if you're new to this, all of that, we about to walk you through it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you go through Habitat for Humanity website, there's no application because Passion, do you want to start like and just slow it down, like, and I'll just lead you through it. But why
Yeah.
with no application online?
So they do not publish the application online because they want you to attend their webinar because it's very informative and it can save you a lot of time. So like if you know your income, like they tell you in that meeting, you have to make, and I have it here in front of, but you have to make like a certain amount of money. So basically your minimum out income cannot be lower than 28,000. So they have like the same income. I don't know if you guys, there you go. So they have the same income guidelines as HUD. So they look at your family size and how much you make. For people who go tax exempt, be careful doing that when you're thinking about buying a home, because it changes your income. Like what, because normally when you get taxes removed out of your checks, it makes your income a little bit lower because you don't get that full amount. But when you go tax exempt, you're getting that full paycheck. So it changes your income, which the first time I applied to Habitat, that's what happened. We got denied because they said, "Oh, you guys make too much money." And I'm like, what? We have a baby on the way. Do we still make too much? Well, guess what? If that kid is not here, they don't count in your household size. Even if the kid will be here, once you move in,
Mhm.
don't count unless they have a heartbeat outside of the womb. So it was, whew, watch those incomes seriously. It really, really impacts buying a house.
Mhm. So when you go to apply for a Habitat for Humanity house on the website, um, it's going to link you to go apply to a workshop.
Hmm.
And once you attend the workshop, you'll learn more about the program and the guidelines. But once you've done that, what's the next step?
So once you attend the webinar,
Mhm.
you'll go and then they'll instruct you. They'll tell you like the hours that they're open, and you can drop by and pick up the application. And then they give you the deadline that your application has to be turned in by. That deadline is very, very strict because they give you, it's almost a month. And if you're having trouble with like accessing documents, if you communicate that with them, like, hey, we're having trouble accessing this document, they work with you. Like, as long as you can submit some type of proof that this is what's going on, they'll talk to you and let you know, like, okay, this is going to be your next step. So yeah, you get that application and then you start filling it out. That's literally the next step.
And I'll say the application, we're gonna put a mock application, even though we're not supposed to, but we're gonna put a mock application out there just so you'll know it's like a standard application, honestly. But the
Hmm.
documents that you need is these are the documents you're gonna need no matter what program you try to buy a house from. Whether
Hmm.
it's NACA, the traditional route, FHA, or Habitat for Humanity. As Passion mentioned, those tax returns, you're going to need at least 2 to 4 tax years of tax returns, depending on the program that you use. So when she says you have 30 days, why not just already, if you're thinking about buying a house within the next
Hmm.
3 months, because some of these, not Habitat for Humanity, but some of these other programs, you can buy a house within 3 to 6 months. But even if it is Habitat for Humanity, say you are thinking about buying a house maybe 6 months to a year,
Hmm.
might be an actual program. I got somebody in mind I'm telling about. But like you got some time on your hands that you know that you might want to buy a house in a year from now. This might be the perfect program, but get on top of getting those documents in order, tax returns, bank statements. Do if you do have student loans, just get all the documentation right up front.
Hmm.
If you have kids, make sure you guys already have your social security cards, birth certificates. Some people do be asking for that, but just make sure you have all those things and look at your credit, see what's on there because they might want to see like proof documents of things that are on your credit report. What
Yeah.
else documents you could think
Um, They definitely, I know one thing that was big is they wanted to see a copy of my car loan, because they needed to know like where you are as far as payments. And then I believe you said bank statements.
of?
Some people require, a year of bank statements. And of course, it's easy to access if you go into your bank. But when, like, if like, hey, I'm going to be applying for a home loan, just keep up with that stuff. Like get a folder or a binder and just start making you a file with all of this paperwork. So then once you do decide to apply for something, you have these documents at hand and you may not need 6 months. You may need, oh, let me go and get last month's statement. And it'll
Mhm.
make the process easier for you.
Yep, buying a house folder is really a good thing to have. Before I bought my house, I had an account that I labeled as buying a home. I said buying a home account, and have a buy a home folder where you
Mm-hmm.
put all these documents in there. I'm gonna be doing these lives about buying a house. Some more will be coming up soon, but different programs and I mean different things will be coming up. But this is a good thing to get things in order. So even if it's your credit, because we're going to be talking about credit repair soon, um,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to help you. So I will be leaving that in the documents or the comments on YouTube. YouTube will be the main spot for you to get all the resources and information as well as the C Notes website. But we'll list all the documents you need so you can already just have it. So when you do apply for any of these programs, you don't have to wait the 30 days. You're like, you know what? I already got the documents when you walk in, to that appointment. That's going to speed things up if you're ready for it. But once you apply the hold on, we got two comments. Um, they're just thanking for the live, but they said you really haven't missed anything at 5 minutes in. We had literally just started. But after you apply and you turn in your documents, what's next?
So then they'll review all of your documents, and based off those documents, you will get, if you qualify, then they'll say, hey, can we conduct a in-person interview? And so for me, I was able to go down to the local office because our habitat is in Davenport, Iowa. So I was able to go down to the local office, and I did a home interview. And so they have and it's everybody in the program is majority volunteers. So you meet with two volunteers, and they ask you like all of these questions. What they want to know, like, what was your childhood like? Why do you want this house? What do you do? Like, what is your profession? And it's crazy because when they asked me, and I was like, oh, I'm a full-time student. I'm preparing for my therapy internship, and I work full time. And they were like, how do you have time to life? And I was like, I just make a schedule and I really stick to my schedule. Um, and you do that interview. And then after that interview, probably within a week or two, if after that interview, if everything went well, they schedule the home interview. And that's when they have to actually come out to your residence.
I don't know if you noticed because you had your own place that you were renting, but
Mhm.
when they come out to the place, what if you're living with somebody? Is that okay?
Yes, they want to see like if you live with somebody, that's gonna help identify your family's need. Because if I'm living with somebody, and let's say I have 3 kids, they have 3 kids, and we're in a 4 bedroom, your family needs more space, and they're gonna ask those questions. So when I did my interview, my son's oldest brother actually lived with me, and so they were asking, like, oh, does he live here too? And I was like, yeah. And they wanted to know like the ins and outs of the relationship, but it didn't stop anything. I was very transparent with them. Like whatever they asked me, I told them. And then it was kind of crazy because they literally want you to point out the flaws in your home. And so when they were asking me, they was like, okay, so what do you see wrong with your home? And just being completely honest, me and my kids were just literally a couple months before living in a hotel. And so I was like, I don't want to really like point out the bad things because God really just blessed us with this. We were trying to find a home for the last 3 months because I had went through a divorce. So I was like, I don't really want to do that. God gave me this blessing. And so they was like, God gave you that blessing, but he's also trying to give you another one. And, you're just being honest. You're not being unappreciative. And so I was like, okay, and then I just was like, my kids don't have a backyard. And then I showed them my backyard, and it was like a forest. And they're like, oh my goodness, how can they play out there with all of these trees? And I was like, I know. And
Mm-hmm.
so like I showed them my bathrooms, and they were just like, no, they need to be having someone come out to look at all of these things. Like this is a hazard. And so they were really understanding, and literally normally I was their last interview. So normally it takes them a couple weeks to call you back, but because I was the last interview, they literally called me back the next day. And they were like, "Hey, you were accepted to the program." And I was like, "Oh, really? Oh my God." And I was like crying and I was like, "Oh, God is coming through." So
Yeah.
yeah. And then depending on where you live, so like because where I live, Iowa and Illinois is it's across the river from each other, but it's literally like across the street. So you get opportunities if they have property lots available in Illinois, you can build in Illinois too. You don't have to build on the Iowa side. The only thing is it's just waiting to see if they have that Illinois property available and the funding. It's crazy to say it, but Illinois don't get as much funding as the Iowa side. Like the state of
I would
Iowa.
say Illinois get a lot of funding, but it's a lot more bodies.
Mhm.
Illinois. That's what I've been telling people. Like when I'm going to Indiana speaking, the resources are large, but the number of people who are accessing those resources are even larger. So, and that's the thing to think about too with a lot of these things. Like, where do you actually see yourself living? But I feel like yours is kind of different. I don't know who may be watching, but it's because you're literally on the border. But Indiana, Illinois on border too. If
Mhm.
Wisconsin, a lot of states will do that if they are on the border because
Yeah.
yeah.
But I would say, like you said, like it's all about thinking about what do you want for yourself? Where do you want to live? Like, are you okay with change? If you're a person that can adapt to change, then look at what they have to offer in that state. Would it be a dramatic difference? Like, those are all of the things I had to look at because for me, Iowa ended up being a win because private school is free in Iowa.
That's good.
And it won me over. I was like, oh, okay, free private school. So
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, okay, so you signed up for the workshop or webinar
mhm,
because that's the same with a lot of these programs. When you first go to the website, you have to sign up for a webinar or workshop. Depending on where you're at, they may not have a in-person workshop, but there's always a webinar. And once you do that, because you cannot apply online because they want you to see the workshop.
yeah,
So once you do that, you go to the local office and they'll give you a physical application, which
mhm,
we're gonna block out her information so you guys can see what that application looks like. And then you have 30 days to turn in these documents that we will list for you. Um, and it's documents that you'll have to use with
mhm,
whatever program you go through or however you buy your house. Really proof of income, showing about debt and all that good stuff.
yeah,
And after you do that, they schedule you for the home interview.
mhm.
And once you do the home interview,
The in-person interview, then the home interview.
well, yeah, in
Yeah.
person, yeah. And then home interview, what happens after now you've done your home interview?
So you'll get an official letter in the mail stating whether or not you were accepted to the program. And then if you were accepted, that letter would have a list of all of the dates for the classes you're going to need to complete in order to, move forward in the program. So classes are measured for 2 hours. It does not always take that full 2 hours. You meet like there's other partner families. You meet all of the different partner families. You meet at your first class, you meet your mentor. So it's like a small meet and greet the first class, just kind of like getting to know everybody. And
Mhm.
then they give you this handy dandy binder and like the first little pieces are in there for what you need for your first class. And then every class after that, they encourage you to bring your binder because they give you all of this information from all of the classes you take. And these are all classes you need for like first time home buying.
Mhm.
They even help you, like you said, you're going to do that seminar about how to repair your credit. They even help with that too. You take a class about your credit, how to read your credit score. They break down like what impacts your credit score. They even teach you about gardening. I know I would probably never garden. I would never plant a flower. But imagine if you were into that type of thing, like you can literally grow your own vegetables in your backyard.
No, I like that honestly. Even with what you were saying earlier about them you having to work on the house with them and them teaching you about things like that. I didn't know any of it.
Hmm.
My realtor, that's a whole nother conversation. I'm doing a realtor real estate live as well, but she gave me a book about like it was like 101 things that you should know in buying a house because there's a lot of things that it's all the anesthetics of buying a house seem fun. Like what I say all the time, um,
Hmm.
a lot of people are about the anesthetics of things, the look, and to say I own a house, but it does come with responsibility, like
Hmm.
water heater going out. You don't know, you can't call your landlord. I mean, if you have family that knows stuff like that, but
Hmm.
you gotta know, or you gotta call somebody out. And a lot of these places, especially in Illinois, they overcharge
Yeah.
thousands of
Yeah.
for something like that. The doors, the windows being replaced, knowing about the plumbing if something goes out. It's a lot
Hmm.
that it takes. So I think that's really good that they are offering those classes along with it so you can be well equipped if anything goes wrong with your house.
Yeah. They even go as far as like telling you like if you want to plant trees, like the different trees that are good for you in your home versus the ones that are not so good to have around your home. Let's say like something happened with one of your gutters, they teach you like, okay, you need to make sure water stays this far away from your house so it doesn't affect your foundation. And just like that water heater you brought up, they even like literally as houses are completed, they take you on tours of these houses and they show you like how to check your water heater temperature, like to like if something happened with your water and your water's not getting hot, first thing you do, go down and check your water temperature and your water heater's temperature and see if somebody may have accidentally bumped it or turned it down. And then they even teach you when you go on vacation, turn your water heater down, it saves you money. Turn your
Mhm.
water heater down because nobody is there to use it. And I was like, what? I didn't know that. Like,
Like, look, I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm about to start doing that.
so yeah, it's like small things that you would never think of because you've been renting for so long that you
Mhm.
don't think of these things like how often you should be cleaning out your dryer, the hose that connects the exhaust from the dryer to the outside, how often you should clean that. We don't think about cleaning that every time we use our dryer because we're renting. Somebody else, that's somebody else's job. But like you said, when it's your home,
Yeah,
the better care you take care of it, the better condition your home is going to be in.
because yeah, that equity.
Mhm.
But you right, because even like I was renting for so long in Naperville. I never had to mow my lawn. I didn't have to worry about the plowing and the snow. And then, yeah, that's some small, but I know people may think of that, but I wasn't ready for it because I
Mhm.
was a part of an association where I used to stay, and they did all the things for it, and even the maintenance out of the outside, like wood chip. And I got a woodpecker pecking on my house all the time, and I'm trying to patch that up. But that stuff you got to deal with.
Yeah.
A possum died in my front yard. I couldn't remove it. I had to pay somebody. I had to pay somebody to come get it. I just couldn't. But all that stuff becomes your responsibility. You can't call
Yeah.
it. So it's really great that they, I'm not going to say make you because I think that's something you should. That's when we on these programs, not becoming a crutch or not letting these things become a crutch for us and actually learning from what we're going through in life. That's the
Mhm.
area of life. But I think that's really amazing that they do that.
Yeah, and I know like at first when they gave me those list of classes, I was like, okay, I know how to caulk a tub. Like my dad, he worked in construction when we were younger. So he would take us to work with him and teach us like how to do those different things, how to lay tile, like so I was just like, okay, I already know this. But then like when I went to the class, I was like, okay, wait, I didn't know you had to do all of that because my dad prepped everything and just showed us like, oh, this is what you do. So they actually broke it down step by step how to prep the caulk gun, like how
Mm-hmm.
to actually like all of the groundwork you have to do before you start laying that towel. And then even with cutting the grass, like I've never seen my dad check the height of the lawnmower. Your grass, when you cut your grass, you have to cut it to a certain length to keep your grass from dying. If you want to have healthy grass, like your grass cannot be shorter than 1 inch. And so I never knew that. My dad just showed us how to start the lawnmower and cut the grass. So it was like when they said this, I was like, wait a minute, okay, I thought this was just start the lawnmower, cut the grass, but no,
Mhm.
it's a lot of work that go into your grass. Like before every season, you wintertime, you have to prepare your grass for the winter, and it's like, oh my goodness, like I
I
said,
didn't know nothing about that, but the person who cut my grass, he does that, and I was like, yeah, I mean, whatever you say. But if you don't know, you because he could have been
yeah,
from me, like I don't know, but no, I'm happy that you said that too. But it is things that have to go into preparation
mm-hmm,
in the seasons. But also, if anybody has questions, they can drop them in the comments. I can see all of it. I didn't know. I found out that I can see on all platforms. But if anybody has any questions, drop them in the comments. But after you do those classes, which a lot of people may get that list, and even
mm-hmm,
when you get the first list, when you first once you complete the webinar or workshop and you go to the office to get the application and they tell you got to bring all, don't get discouraged about the documents, because that's the thing in life. A lot of people get discouraged about the steps that they got to take to get there. It's not going to
mm-hmm.
be that much, or you'll be what, renting for life. Do
Yeah,
what you gotta do. This is a small task or a small moment in the bigger picture of you
yeah,
owning your house and you being able to pass it down to your kids or somebody else in your family.
mm-hmm,
So because once you get approved and you get in this program and you get this list of classes, like she said, but you was determined, like, no, I
mm-hmm,
know what I want for me and my kids. Don't get discouraged by the classes, because those classes are things that you actually will need to maintain your house and to
yeah,
maintain keeping up with paying for it, teaching you credit and
mm-hmm.
teaching you saving and finances. So once you went through the classes, then what?
So you have to take like this final class. It's like a
A test.
economic home buyers class. It's measured for like 8 hours, and then they give you like a test to see if you've retained everything that you've learned. And once you do that, like you're done with classes. That's it. The only thing you have to do is continue to volunteer. Your time volunteering, it does change once you finish classes, because of course those classes count as hours, as sweat equity hours. So then you transition over to just getting sweat equity, and that's working at the restore. So most habitat offices, they have a restore either close to them in proximity or attached to them. And then helping in the community. So they help elderly people build ramps, elderly and people with physical differences. They help them build ramps for their homes if they need it. If people need small home repairs, you can go out with the Habitat team and help build those small homes. People that are already working on their houses, you can go to volunteer to go and help build on those houses. So for me, one of my sisters from church, she just broke ground. And so they give you hours, sweat equity hours, for going to support another family by watching them break ground. And break ground is literally them taking a shovel and scooping the first patch of dirt out of that ground. And
Yeah.
it was very a very emotional process, because you can see like people have literally put a lot into this. Like it means a lot for their family, and everybody was crying, and it was so amazing. But you get hours for attending that. You get hours for going to watch them literally like cut the ground, basically like dedicated, saying like, oh, this is your property lot. You get hours for that. You just continue to volunteer. So even if you get your 250, if your home is not built yet, you have to continue to get the minimum 6 hours every month. They have virtual options. So let's say, oh, my kids have been sick this month, I didn't get an opportunity to go in. They have a virtual courses that you can watch on YouTube to get hours, and you literally watch those videos and you write a paragraph about what you watched. It's just to show that you were actually, paying attention to it.
Hmm.
And that's it, just collecting those hours until your property lot is available. And as you hit those milestones, as I mentioned, you get to choose your lot. And then once, as long as they have the funding for that year, because Habitat builds so many houses a year, but if that state or city gives them more funding, they're able to build more houses within that year. So this year they got really lucky. They were able to build so many houses. They were also able to rehab houses this year out here. So a lot of people who had their lots, they got started building on their house already.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that's what will happen. You just keep getting your hours until your house is complete.
So I want to go back a little bit. You said I remember earlier you said 250.
Mm-hmm.
You call them sweat hours that you have
Mm-hmm.
to do, and once you like it's milestones. So say you complete 25 hours, that
Mm-hmm.
makes you go to what level? Because how many do you have to complete in order for you to start looking at a lot?
So you have to have, I believe, I want to say it's 90 hours, but I'm gonna double check because they gave me this handy dandy booklet.
Hmm.
So you even like you sign a small contract with them too. So yes, to be assigned a lot, you have to complete. It was 75 actually, 75 sweat equity hours, and that's for every adult in the house. So if you're a two-parent household, or um, you, your brother, sibling, what, however many adults that you have in that house, they have to all get those 75 hours. For
Hmm.
me, it's just me, so I only have to do 75. And your friends and family can help you get those hours. They do
Oh,
not have to
nice.
be,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good.
So
Yeah.
for the first milestone, your friends and family can get 30 hours for you. And then you just have to make up that difference. But like I said, if you got kids, if you were in class for 2 hours and you had to get a babysitter for your kids for 2 hours, you'll get that 2 hours for that babysitter and your class time.
That's
Um, yeah, so it's very easy to get the hours. Like, I
hmm
know it may sound intimidating, like, oh,
yeah, but
250
I mean,
hours.
250 hours when people are work. That's I feel like that's nothing to own a house. Like
Hmm.
to get in your own place and not be paying rent. You're paying your mortgage, paying
Yeah.
owning.
Hmm. And then, so after that 75 hours, you get to pick a lot, which is a fun process, very emotional. Um, and then it's once you get to the 125 mark, they break the ground, which is where you go out and they encourage you to invite like friends and family. And like I said, you dig out literally that first scoop of soil. Like, this is mine. Like, and they encourage you because Habitat is a Christian program.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it was founded, at least. So they encourage you to, if you have a home church and you want someone to come and like pray over your property lot, they encourage that. And that was something that was very important to me because it's like when you've been through stuff, from your adolescence and up, prayer becomes like a foundational part of you. So it's like with everything you do, you pray first and you seek God. So it's like, of course, I want to pray over my property line to make sure we covered by the blood. But yeah. And then 250 hours is when you're able to actually move into your home, along with, of course, having your payment. So as
Mm-hmm.
long as you have your 250 hours and your payment, you're able to set that. Huh?
What would be your payment?
So payment, they tell you to plan to have a $2,000 deposit, and
Mm-hmm.
that's because first of all, 500 is normally what it would be, but you have to look at like what all did you add to your house.
Mm-hmm.
If you added fancier light fixture, like my friend went through the program and she has these cute little like they almost look like little chandeliers for her light fixtures.
Yeah.
So those things, like, you get an allowance for it, but if you go over that allowance, you then have to pay the extra for it. And you
Okay.
don't have to pay it right in that moment. You just have to have it when you're preparing for your down payment for your home.
So the down payment is 500, but it can go up depending on
Hmm.
what you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. So they tell you,
Yeah.
they say just plan, if you're one of those picky people, set aside something extra. And
Mhm.
they're super informative. Like, they even have like the partner families from before come in and kind of talk to you and tell you about what the process is like. So yeah.
That's really good. And you have a mentor with
Mhm.
it. So somebody who's done it and went through
Yeah.
the program as well. I really like that. Um, I don't really know any other things that you feel like may be beneficial in just the process of buying your house through Habitat for Humanity.
um I would say just go in like with an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course, like you said, the paperwork can seem like a lot, the process, but keeping the end in mind, like always thinking about like what the end is going to be, like what it's going to do for your family. Like when you rent, you have to be able to, before you can paint your apartment, you have to make sure you're able to do that. But when it's your house, like you can,
Yeah.
when you have little kids, like you always running behind your kids with like a towel when they color on the wall and stuff. But guess what? If they're in their own home, in their own room, if they want to color on the wall, let them. This is their
Yeah.
space. You don't have to worry about if I'm gonna get my deposit back, and it
Yeah.
takes a lot of the stress off. And then, like with Habitat, you get your initial mortgage, but you also automatically get a second mortgage. But if you stay in the program and you complete all of your payments, your second mortgage is automatically forgiven if
Mm-hmm.
you stay in the program. And like people are always like, oh, well, I can pay, if my mortgage is as low as $500, I could pay it off early. Well, you can, but you still have to live in that house for the scheduled amount of years. And I can't remember if it's 10 or 15 years. I believe it's 15. You have to still stay in that home for 15 years to have that mortgage automatically forgiven. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like if you can pay it off, great, amazing. But I would just hold your payment until it's time to make a payment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it looks like somebody just commented on YouTube.
Oh, I didn't see you. They got a question.
No, it's my friend Yasmin. She said that in her opinion, the loan is better than a loan from a mortgage company or bank.
Mm. Oh, somebody did ask, do you have to have kids under 18 to get on this program?
No. Actually my friend from church, she doesn't have any kids and she got accepted to the program.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. It is, but this is a different option for you. Um,
Hmm.
it's but you got to have the patience and the time. But if you want this bad enough, you're gonna do what you have to do. Um,
Yeah. And
yeah.
I definitely use your village, because if other people can help you get those hours, that's less work you have to do yourself. And it's like helping you get hours can be like, for example, my daughter, I couldn't get a babysitter for her, but I didn't want to do like virtual hours. I wanted to go out and do something in person because I like meeting the shoppers in the store.
Mhm.
So he asked me like, "Oh, do you want to come and just fold t-shirts for us?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so me and my daughter was jamming out to Gracie Corner, rolling up t-shirts, and we were separating them. And it was a good experience. And it's like the staff really want to get to know you as a person. So it's like when they found out I was a therapist, they always try and come and pick my brain and ask me different questions. And they always wonder like, well, what made you go into that field? And so they really want to get to know you. Like some of these relationships that you build working at Habitat, they become lifelong relationships, especially with like your mentors. Like they really put as much time in your home as you do. For me, I have an older mentor, so she comes to some stuff, but things that she can't make it to, she'll call me like, "Hey, I can't make it, but let me tell you what's gonna happen or how it's gonna look." She's still very involved. They do as much as they can. And I mean, like, these are also homeowners. So they teach you, like, all the tips and tricks, like how to properly clean a laminated floor. Like, it's not just hot water and, soap or cleaning products. It's a process to cleaning your floors, how to maintain your sinks. Like, you notice, like, sometimes in older homes, you see, like, the scratches in the sink. And they tell you, like, these are the different sponges you can use to prevent that from happening, how to make affordable cleaning products out of like vinegar, warm water. Like they really like work to
Yeah.
try to cut back some cost in your home. And they're like, we spent all this money on different stain removers for our laundry. They teach you how to make a affordable stain remover for your laundry. And I was just sitting there like, man,
Yeah.
my mom never told me this. She just always told me which product is the best product to buy for this. So it was like they're trying to help you save as much money as you can, because like yes, you're buying a house, but it doesn't stop there. You should be
Mhm.
saving for those rainy days, like especially when you got this affordable mortgage and you got kids. Something always pops up when you got kids. So it's like if you can cut back on some things, that's more money that you can set aside for your family.
Mhm. I agree. I don't know if anybody has any other questions before we get off, or any last and anything messages that you want to leave the audience in regards to buying a house in general, I'll say.
Are you asking the audience right now?
You.
Oh, me. I would say take your time. Like this place that you decide is going to be your family. Oh, somebody said how long is building? They estimate 9 to 12 months for building your home.
And that's
So,
yeah, that's why when we started earlier, I said if you're not trying to buy a house until maybe 9 months to a year, this will be a perfect program for you.
mhm.
You just signed a lease and you like, you know what? This is my last lease I'm signing. I'm
Yeah.
gonna buy a house like that. That could be something. This Habitat for Humanity could be a really good, I'll say, way to get into home ownership.
Hmm. Um, and even if like let's say like you aren't looking to buy a house right now, but you're interested in learning more about the home buyer process, you can always like Habitat post their Habitat families. You can always reach out to a partner family like, hey, I would like to attend some of these classes with you because that will help them get those hours too, and you can attend classes with them and learn some of that information, and it doesn't cost you anything. It's free. So it's like you can go and get free information and you'll be helping out a family. So
Oh, that's nice. It says, do you have to stay connected after your home is built?
um what do you mean by stay connected? Because if you mean
How
like
habitat like volunteering and things like that.
So it is not mandatory that you continue to volunteer. However, Habitat does host events with like past partner families. It's kind of like a block party, and everybody come out and talk about their experience. They do encourage you to stay in contact with your mentor, just in case something comes up within your first year of home ownership. And then depending on where you're located, they do, ask like, hey, would you be able to volunteer to help another partner family? So like if you have kids, they try to get like past families who also had kids to kind of babysit your children for you so you can get your hours.
What is there a minimum credit score?
They do not tell you if there's a minimum credit score. They only look at your like income. So as long as you're meeting that income guideline, they kind of like overlook the credit score a little bit.
That's how most of these Habitat for Humanity and NACA and ACA, they don't look at your credit score. They look at what you can afford to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so if you're not picky about the house you're gonna get, because they want to make sure it's something you can afford. They don't
Yeah.
based off your credit score. They go based off your income, what you're paying in rent right now. They want to make sure it's something you literally can afford.
Yeah, in your home size that so your
Yeah.
home size is based on the size of your family.
Hmm.
So for example, it's me and my two children. So we are getting a 3 bedroom, 2 story, and then it'll have a partially finished basement. And so that basement has 2 bedrooms in it that you can eventually turn into rooms. But anytime you're making changes to any house, but more specifically Habitat houses, you have to get that permit to make those changes. Because Habitat will have you, like, if you make changes to your house without getting that permit, they will have you take everything down. And granted, the contractors might love that because you're gonna have to pay them to do it all over again. But to save yourself like time and money, anytime you're gonna make any changes to your property, get those building permits.
Yeah, but like you said, you need those building permits either way,
Mm-hmm.
for it to count. I guess I don't know because some people don't care about it being
Mm-hmm.
recognized as it's fixed.
Mm-hmm.
It's something added. But that's that. But if you ever decide to sell your house and things like that, those permits have to be in place, or yeah, it doesn't count. So like
Yeah.
I said, you can get those two. You can get 2 bedrooms in the basement if you don't get the permits. Like if you're trying to sell it, it doesn't count. But if somebody goes and sees it, they'll know what's there.
Mm-hmm.
But it won't count as far as on the marketplace.
Yeah, and depending on like where they're building. So like in the area where I'm getting my house, they literally built like it's almost a whole block of other habitat houses. So that's going to bring up your property value as well. The more houses they're building in your area, like the more
Mhm.
improvements your neighbors are doing on their houses, that brings up your home value too. So I would keep that in mind too when you're thinking about, oh, where do I want my house at? Like, are you getting a house in a neighborhood that's already like put together, or are you gonna go in like a lower income neighborhood that it looks nice, but people are still developing their properties? They're bringing up the value in that area. So those are things to think about too. School districts, like if you have little children, like of course always getting your house somewhere where it'll be safe for your kids to go outside. Are you in one of those communities where it takes a village? Are you in one of those communities where the village is helping everybody? Or are you in a community with older people that's really just like, oh, we're vacationing most of the time? Those are different things to think about. Like your neighbors, what kind of neighbors do you want to have? Like when you're looking at houses, even if you're buying an already built house, go look at that house when it's raining. Because if you go on a sunny day, you're not going to see all of the problems that you would see if it's raining outside. What if it's a leak in the roof? If they've painted the house, you won't see that leak spot. But if it's raining, you'll see it because it'll start dripping. So
Mhm.
those are things to think about too. The foundation of the house, like great times of the year, how long have they had their roof? Have they done any work on the roof within the last 10 years? Like, because roofs have to be replaced every so often or have to have some type of maintenance done. But of course, you don't know that going in as a first time home buyer. So those are like great things to know. And even if you just feel like, oh, maybe I just want to watch some classes to help. I'm in the process of buying a house. Habitat of Humanity, they have, and I'll share the website with Miss Sierra, but they have a website where you can go to and it lists all of these classes about budgeting and how to fix like small things in your house, how to make meals, like affordable meals. Like they are really like all about saving you money to help you start saving for, if you got little babies, their future, and your own future. When you get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm done working, I want a vacation, help you save some of that money for your vacations that you got planned for your future. So yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you one last question, and then if you want to share how people can reach you, you can do that. But the lots, do they give you a list of lots, or do you have to go search? Do you give them a zip code and is lots up here? How does finding a lot work?
So they provide, once you've reached that 75 hours, they give you a list of lots to choose from. The lots are going to be based on like where you are. So if the habitat is in, like our habitat is in Davenport, but like I said, it's really close to Illinois. So they give us all of the available lots available within that Quad City areas like East Moline, Rock Island, and Davenport, and East Davenport, West Davenport, and East Davenport. So they gave us a list of lots with that was available in that area. You don't have to go and find anything. These lots are donated to them by the cities. So they have all of this. It goes back to the funding. If they
Mhm.
have the funding available, so if they had those Davenport lots available, I was like, let's do it.
Mhm.
Because even like for Illinois, you could pick your lot in Illinois, but if there's no funding, you gotta wait. Even you could be having all your hours. You just have to wait until they have the funding to start building your house.
Yeah, and I'll say rural areas is going to be faster, but that's with anything like
Mm-hmm.
any type of program that has different funding things. The rural areas is it's. I mean, if people know anything about Section 8, a lot of people go to different places because they know they'll move up faster on that list.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that people, but yeah, Illinois is just a busy, depending on where you're
Mm-hmm.
at in Illinois. If you close to the Chicagoland area, all the
Mm-hmm.
suburbs and things, it's gonna take more time. But if you're in the outskirts, maybe like the Cab or um, maybe in the Bloomingdale or Champaign area, things like that. Maybe it might be different, but it depends on your area and where you're trying to live. So think about that too. I've been telling people, think about what retirement looks like. Like, where do you see yourself living? But
Mm-hmm.
ownership is something definitely you guys should be thinking about. Like,
Yeah.
It
I
just
think,
is.
but honestly, like my generation, nobody really talks about home ownership like they did in my dad's generation. Like that
Mhm.
was pushed like, oh, buy you a home,
You're
buy you
right.
a home. But then
Hmm.
it's like in our generation, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's because economy, like the prices of living is rising, but people aren't really talking about like, hey, buy that home, like find you a place like that you call your own. Nobody's really talking about it. Your grandparents, if you have grandparents that purchased a home, you may hear them mention it,
I
but
don't
just
think
like,
talk about it like that because a lot of older people, like you said, they do own homes. But I think a lot of times, if they do, honestly, I'm gonna say they were blessed. I think a lot of times, since that the gap in the different age groups, um,
hmm
they made it so hard for minorities to buy houses that I feel like they became so discouraged that they just gave up. But now it's so many different programs out there. People just don't know about them.
yeah,
People hear about Habitat for Humanity, and honestly, I see a lot of minorities who utilize that program, and even that.
yeah,
But these programs were created for it. I don't
hmm
know why a lot of us are discouraged from using them, but that's home ownership. Like that's
yeah,
something closed mouths don't get fed. Go see what it's
absolutely,
about. That's why I'm doing these lives so we can know what resources we have available and utilize them. Don't be feeling
hmm
too good for it. This is your human experience, and you need to be in control of what you're doing with your human experience.
yeah,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you. Is there, well, you, whatever you want to say.
I was just gonna say, like, taking advantage, like people who have criminal backgrounds, taking
Hmm.
advantage of those expungement programs,
Hmm.
because some of these programs do look at your criminal history if you have one. Like, go and get that record sealed.
And you're
Like,
right. I'm gonna do a live on that because it's a lot of expungement programs, and a lot of people don't know that they
hmm
don't have to keep the record forever. And some still be having things from their childhood showing up now.
hmm
But it's a lot of, and it's a difference between expungement and stealing records and things like that that people don't know
hmm
about. And it's a lot of myths we have to break. And
yes,
with people don't think that if they have a felony they can't get a passport. I'm like, that's not true.
yeah,
It's a lot of myths. Myths, even with jobs now, like
hmm
it's not a thing. I don't know where some of these myths came from, but I heard them and I was all for it too. We ain't gonna go fact check. So
hmm
it's also gonna be a fact check. Like, no, what you've been told may not be true.
yeah,
You know for a fact, don't be taking everybody's word or I
hmm
don't know, even your own, because we be making up stuff in our own head.
yeah, because it's just like from what we've been through in life. But something I always tell my son is, you do it until you get a no. Even if you aren't sure that you qualify for something, you still do it. Let them tell you no, and then you'll get that experience. You know what they're looking for. Go gain it, and
Then
guess
look,
what?
say this: every no ain't a no. That's a no from that person.
Yeah,
Can I
but somebody else might say,
can I talk to somebody else? Can I speak to your supervisor? Or I'm gonna
mm-hmm,
call back on another day when I get a different. Maybe you just ain't in the mood, you know. So
yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, I would say just keep all of that in mind.
Mhm.
Um,
But we
and
will do the live on expungements. That will be coming soon. By Monday, I will have at least 5 new workshops or lives that I will be doing. And I hope you guys, I'm trying to give the information out. It's up to you guys to see, but I will be doing more really, really soon. I really appreciate you and the people who are watching. Thank you for joining. If you have any last minute comments or questions, please drop them down before we end. All right. Well, thank you, Passion. I
no
really
problem. Thank you for having me.
want to say, how can people reach you or contact you or follow you? And if they have questions, how can they reach or contact you?
So you can contact me by phone. I This is a number that's posted all over the internet already. But it is 309-740-7322. And y'all know I always got my phone in my hand unless I'm in a therapy session. So you can text me or call me. If I don't answer right away, feel free to leave a voicemail because it's linked to my Gmail. So it'll come to me as an email, it'll come as a voicemail, and I'll get it as a text message. You can questions about Habitat, or if you even got questions about starting some therapy sessions, maybe you want to mentally prepare for buying a house, hit me up. I'm here for it.
Actually, my cousin just said thanks, but Arkansas is definitely, if you want to buy a house, Habitat for Humanity is definitely a way. It's a rural area and you can get it. They're gonna have
Mhm.
those lots, but you just gotta go to it. Like,
Yeah.
be scared. Like, this is you making a better life for yourself. So yeah, definitely look into Habitat for Humanity in Arkansas for sure. That's yeah.
So yeah, and thank you for having me.
Okay.
And you can find me on Psychology Today too.
Yeah,
So
if you guys have any topics that you want for the rest of this year, I'm about to be doing these. I got some really good things coming up. So if you have topics like this expungement thing, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Definitely. I used to host and facilitate expungement and sealing classes when I was a probation officer. Like they used to have them all the time. They have them at the court buildings. But if you don't know, you don't know. But
mhm.
I will definitely get the resources and put that together. But all the resources for Habitat for Humanity will be on YouTube and C Note's website within the next 2 to 3 business days. I'm gonna say that. But yeah, and if you have any questions, you can always leave them still under this video because Passion, you can follow up with them.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll keep checking, even in the comments on Facebook or Instagram. Oh, Natasha, she just joined. We do have another guest, and I'll just let her briefly talk about her experience, and then we'll get off the the live. Passion, if you want to stay on, you can.
Okay.
Hey, we were just about to end, but I was like, let me bring you on so you can tell your experience with Habitat really quick for the guests or for the
Okay.
audience.
Sure, no problem. Hello, everybody. I'm Natasha. So, a little bit about how I got connected with the Habitat for Humanity. I originally came out to Naperville through to me receiving my Section 8 housing voucher. And shortly after I received the voucher, probably about 3 years into getting acclimated to the area and acclimated to Section 8, I learned about the Family Self Sufficiency Program that my caseworker that was assigned to me through Section 8 had informed me about. And he had informed me about a little bit more about how it works, and was essentially letting me know that, we can kind of, whatever goals that I was, hoping to achieve, the goal would be for them to incentivizing me achieving that goal with the goal of transitioning out. And one of my goals was seeking home ownership. I no longer wanted to rely on subsidy to be able to sustain me. I wanted to kind of create my own sense of independence and graduate from that level of support. So when he informed me about the options that I can explore, which was NACA or Bridge Communities or Habitat for Humanity. And ideally, because I became so fond of living in DuPage County, I knew I wanted to stay within this area. So Habitat for Humanity really stood out versus the other two. So what I ended up doing was I reached out to Habitat for Humanity. I went to the website and I inquired, and what that looked like was for me attending a seminar. So throughout that seminar, what they're doing is trying to see if I actually am a good candidate that meets the qualifications for the program. And essentially, the qualifications stem line on income, credit, and affordability. Can you actually afford through actually still having that line of support, also still afford the homeownership program? So I actually, luckily for me, I was in a great position because I had already done some work on the back end prior. So I was actually a great candidate. So essentially the process went somewhat seamless, but it was lengthy for me because some other barriers. However, as far as the qualifications, I immediately qualified. So once I qualified, I ended up having to go through a series of steps, such as continuing to attend like their seminars. So they want to make sure that you know how to maintain the home ownership, and then they connect you with people from the bank and let you know what that process will be like. And then you have to also volunteer. So part of the volunteering process looks like it's like you're actually helping build another home for another family in exchange for a home. So it's like sweat equity hours. So there's a certain amount of hours that you have to meet through volunteering. So I went through that series of process as well, and originally officially landed into my home that I am in today.
Congratulations, congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, Passion talked about her experience, and the groundbreaking part sounds the most exciting. Breaking ground of your home, like that's, come on now, like y'all don't want that experience, y'all better contact Habitat or other place. Like it's time for us to close that gap in home ownership. Seriously, we got to get it. If you can't rent, you can own a home. If you can afford to pay rent, literally you can own a home.
Mhm.
Is there a message, I'll say, that you would like to leave the audience, or any way that you know, how you can be reached or contacted or anything like that you want to leave with the audience?
Yeah, sure. So you guys can follow up with me with my email. It would be Nat natpbs@yahoo.com. That's my email for further details. I will love to give you direct contact links to the executive director at Habitat, which her name is Jennifer, and furthermore details in regards to if those are individuals that are on subsidy right now with the Habitat for more with Section 8. I can also refer you back to my counselor that I went through work with, which was Scott. So any additional information that you need to achieve this, I am more than welcome to help you. And it's not even just stemming from the Habitat for Humanity. There's other resources that also can help you, such as I mentioned, Bridge Communities and the NACA. I'll be more than welcome to also send those links as well. So feel free to follow up with me via email, which is natpbs@yahoo.com.
And we will be having another live about people who bought their house through NACA and this bridge program that you mentioned. I want people to know all the different ways, and then I will just be doing a live just about buying a house in general, not going through these programs. But these programs are really beneficial because it makes owning a house a reality for a lot of people way faster without the struggles. Because man, it takes a lot to buy a house without the help of anyone. I mean, really, the biggest thing if you're buying a house without the help of these programs, it's the money.
Yeah.
You got to come up with the money. It's more than the down payment, the closing costs. It's everything in between that. Getting the house appraised, like Passion was saying, if it's a leak, you want to get your house appraised. Things need to be fixed, and then negotiating with, it's a lot that comes with it. But that's why I wanted to break this series up, and we're starting with the Habitat for Humanity, but we will be having at least 4 more buying a house series, because it's important for us to own our own space. But I really appreciate both of you guys for sharing, and you can keep an eye out on the comments on YouTube if people have questions. But I will also leave their email and contact information within the YouTube description. And once again, it will be on CNO's website. Thank you so much again for sharing your process and your story, because home ownership is therapy. Like having your own space. People don't know, like it means a lot. And not, I mean, it does feel good having your own place when you're renting, but owning it is different because you don't have nobody you have to go to. Said, you know, I don't gotta call somebody to say, can I paint my walls or can I hang this TV up? You know, like I don't have to worry about not getting a deposit back or this going on. I mean, it can still go on your credit, but in a different way. Like stuff is on our credit, public judgments are on our credit. Versus I rather for it to be my own house that I'm doing versus, you know, than renting from someone. It's, I mean, it's steps, but it's so many options out there for us. We just got to take them.
Yeah, and they can start by following you on your
Mhm.
social media to get these
Mhm.
ins and outs that you're giving them, because these are game changers. Like, just hearing everybody share like their testimonies when you're talking to them, and like to have someone actually understanding the importance of these types of curriculums, like that's a lot. Claps to you. And they
Yeah.
should follow you so that they can stay connected with this stuff, because
Mhm.
everybody don't know about it, and what you don't know you can't use.
Yeah, because you don't know until you know.
Hmm. And
But
sometimes what you may know might be wrong, so you might
yeah,
still need to
so
join in.
yeah, yep, you're right. You're right. You don't know until you know, until you know, until you know. Because it's an
Mhm.
evolving journey.
Hmm.
But yeah, thank you both for this. And thank you to Natasha for still joining. I really appreciate it. And
I'm
she
sorry I was late, but yeah, you're welcome.
did change the time last minute. I have another event. So busy. But I really wanted to do this still. I didn't want to cancel, especially canceling last minute. I want to still stick to my word and get
Hmm.
this live out there. So thank you all who joined. And I will be back soon with another live doing this library of life. I'm so excited. Thank you guys.
You're welcome. Well,
You're
enjoy the rest
welcome.
of your evening, your weekend, okay, ladies, both of you. Bye bye.